When a massive cargo ship or cruise liner reaches the end of its life, usually after 25 to 30 years, it doesn't retire quietly. Instead, it enters a shadowy multi-billion-dollar industry designed to make it vanish. European shipping companies facing strict regulations and high costs at home sell their old ships to cash buyers in international waters, creating a legal smokescreen. The original owners claim ignorance, insisting the ship was sold for continued use, not scrapping. This plausible deniability is the foundation of the shipbreaking industry, letting corporations profit from hazardous disposal without direct responsibility. The cash buyer quickly changes the ship's registration, swapping a reputable flag for one from countries like St. Kitts and Nevis or Liberia, places with minimal oversight. It's the maritime equivalent of getting a fake ID, a calculated move to sidestep international law. The Basel Convention is supposed to prevent hazardous waste from moving from rich to poor countries, but reflagging creates a loophole. Now, instead of a European ship going to India, it's a Comorian ship, technically a transaction between two developing nations outside the treaty's strictest rules. This legal fiction is how the world's biggest ships quietly slip into the world's most dangerous scrapyards. The original owners walk away clean, while the real consequences are exported far from their shores. The ship's identity is erased, and its final journey begins, out of sight, out of mind. And so, the cycle continues, with profit and risk carefully separated by oceans and paperwork. With its new flag, the condemned ship sets out on its last voyage, crewed by a skeleton team. Its destination, Alang, India, a 15-kilometer stretch of tidal mudflats, the world's largest ship graveyard. Here, ships are driven straight onto the beach at high tide, a violent end to their decades at sea. Once beached, the ship is stranded and officially dead. Alang is a city built on deconstruction, divided into nearly 200 scrapyards, each privately owned. Nearly a third of the world's ships are scrapped here, under the relentless Indian sun. The landscape is a toxic wasteland, blackened sand, oil-soaked ground, and air thick with smoke and fumes. Temperatures soar, and the environment is as harsh as the work itself. The ship, now the property of a yard owner, is worth millions, its value determined by size and the global price of steel. The sale is done. The ship is now just raw material, waiting to be torn apart. As the tide recedes, workers swarm the beached ship, dismantling it with basic tools and bare hands. The first step: strip everything not welded down. Furniture, electronics, lifeboats, wiring, all sold in Alang's bustling second-hand markets. This scavenging fuels a local economy where nothing goes to waste. Once the interior is gutted, the real work begins, cutting the steel hull. Workers with gas torches slice the ship into massive chunks, often without safety gear, risking injury or death with every cut. Steel sections are dropped onto the beach or dragged ashore, a process as dangerous as it is essential. The steel is the ultimate prize, sent to local mills to be melted down and turned into rebar for construction. Recycled steel from Alang and similar yards supplies a huge portion of the region's building material. The ship's legacy lives on, not as a vessel, but as the skeleton of new buildings. But this transformation comes at a steep human and environmental cost. For Alang's tens of thousands of migrant workers, every day is a gamble. Most come from India's poorest states, drawn by wages that, while meager, are better than what they'd earn at home. An experienced cutter might make $10 a day. Newcomers sorting scrap earn far less. Safety is almost non-existent. Protective gear is rare, and most work barefoot or in sandals, exposed to constant danger. Injuries are common, crushed by steel, burned by explosions, or caught in fires. The saying goes, one ship a day, one life a day, a grim reflection of the high death toll. Medical care is minimal, so even minor injuries can be fatal. Beyond accidents, workers face slow poisoning from asbestos, PCBs, heavy metals, and toxic fumes. Long-term exposure leads to cancer, lung disease, and early death. For many, a job in Alang is a short-term lifeline with lifelong consequences. The environmental toll of shipbreaking is catastrophic. Beaching ships means toxic materials, fuel, oil, heavy metals, leak straight into the sand and sea, destroying fragile coastal ecosystems. As ships are dismantled, asbestos fibers, lead paint and other poisons contaminate the air, water, and soil. The entire coastline becomes a sacrifice zone, where environmental laws are ignored for profit. The damage is ongoing, poisoning marine life and local communities. Child labor is another open secret. Kids as young as 12 work the yards, exposed to the same dangers as adults. They sort scrap, work in confined spaces, and breathe toxic dust, robbed of education and a safe future. These children are trapped in poverty, risking their lives for a few dollars a day. The industry's profits are built on stolen childhoods and a devastated environment. Why do these deadly yards persist? The answer is economic necessity. For workers, even dangerous jobs in Alang pay more than anything at home. For India and Bangladesh, shipbreaking is a vital source of cheap steel, fueling construction and reducing reliance on imports. The industry employs tens of thousands directly and supports many more through related businesses. Governments are reluctant to regulate too heavily, fearing economic fallout and job losses. Western shipping companies want the cheapest disposal, while yard owners maximize profit by cutting corners on safety and the environment. Poor workers accept the risks, and governments look the other way. The result? A vicious cycle where profit is privatized and the true costs are dumped on the poor and the planet. The deadly beaches of Alang remain open for business, locked in a system that resists change. Not all shipbreaking is a horror story. Safer, cleaner alternatives exist. In places like Aliaga, Turkey, ships are dismantled in dry docks with proper safety and environmental controls. Workers get protective gear, fair wages, and hazardous waste is contained. But this costs more, so most shipping companies still choose the cheapest, dirtiest yards. Cruise lines, worried about their image, sometimes opt for cleaner yards, but most cargo ships end up on South Asian beaches. The economics are simple. Profit trumps safety and the environment. However, growing media scrutiny and NGO pressure are forcing the industry to respond. Even major cash buyers now talk about responsible recycling, though much of it may be greenwashing. Still, the fact that they feel pressured to change is a sign of progress. True reform will be slow, but the conversation has started. The world is finally paying attention to what happens when ships die, and who pays the price.